All right, everybody, I figure it's time for an update. It's funny, I still see comments coming in of all the different toolbox videos we make or have made. Of course, I made videos on when I first got the Sonic Next boxes, which makes people really angry. I'm telling you, those boxes are really nice. We have one over in Mike's setup over there, we have loaded up with stuff. I was really shocked at how nice that toolbox was for the money. And then, of course, you saw me spend my entire kid's college education savings on a Snap-on box, and then I got another Sonic box so I could compare the two, and we did two different setups that were similarly priced, and was able to show how much more you got for your money, and that tends to hack a lot of people off. So I'm not trying to make anybody angry here. I'm just trying to solve this for myself. I'm really, really good at this. I might even be like top 2 in the world, right, at doing this shopping in catalogs. It just goes back to the Sears Roebuck catalog back in the day. I guess for me it was just Sears. It wasn't Sears Roebuck, but in the back of the Sears catalog was where all the toys and chemistry sets and all that stuff and guitars and things. I have no prayer of ever playing guitar, but I always wanted one because it was the most expensive thing in the back of the Sears catalog. And so what I've been working on, I didn't stage this for you. This is live where I'm at right at this moment today with tools. And so I've talked about how much I love the Sonic tool stuff. I love their organization. I went from Harbor Freight, Craftsman, just a random Crescent channel lock, just a random grouping of tools, which I think Mike has. You still have all that stuff? So I gave to Mike years ago. It was just a bunch of stuff that was in my original wash bay. And when I got my first Sonic tool set, it was my first set of really decent tools, higher end tools. And I love the organization structure of it. There's nothing else like it. Nobody else comes close, where you can do a full set of tools in a structured fashion where it fits in this very specific drawer, like the Sonic MSS Plus here, and gives you that organization that comes from aerospace, or not aerospace, from the, what do you call, airplane people, from aircraft mechanic people. And so that was the next step, and I knew that someday I would head down this path where I found the tools that I personally like the most. I digested giant catalogs of information, and then eventually ended up in a position like this where I had an array of the tools that I liked the most. Now, I understand I'm not a mechanic by trade. I'm not a tool user by trade. I also understand that I'm not the manufacturer. I'm kind of in this middle spot. Some blue-collar guys like to try to insult and say I'm a salesman or something like that. I'm this weird hybrid where I love tools. I hate using them. I'm going to admit that to you. I don't like using tools. If I have to use a tool, then it means something's broken or I need to fix something. And so if I have the choice, I'd rather not use the tool. But I tell you what, there's something magical about having the right tool for the job. You all know that. I don't care if you're white collar, blue collar, red collar, doesn't matter. If you have the right tool for the job, then the experience is, what the heck's going on here? I'm missing a tool. Somebody's going to die. So anyway, that's a nice thing about having your tools organized. You know when you're missing one. So the position I'm in and the resources that I have, because now I provide people a resource through Obsessed Garage, has afforded me the ability to do what we all dream of doing. Use my obsessive compulsiveness to digest the catalog. I have a Amex Platinum with an unlimited limit, and then I can buy tools, hold on to them, play with them, touch them, feel them, use them, organize them, and then because I have all of you, I have a broad audience of people, I don't have to lose all that money on the tools. I can then sell off the ones that don't make the cut, right? And so we've done that with the Hazets that I bought. Hazet, I bought the entire line of Hazet, which was like, $30-something thousand, my cost, wholesale cost, and only like maybe 20 or 30 pieces made the cut. of things that I like the most over other brands. You saw me line up my entire toolbox with there's 517 screwdrivers from Wera. I bought every single one of them, laid them all out, organized them. We're down to about 70, and then we'll create smaller packages from there. So that's the value prop to the world. Some of you blue collar guys don't believe that's valuable, but you know, the world seems to think so. I've done it in detailing, we've done it in garage, we're doing it in, you know, the toolbox now as well. So first thing to mention is I've got toolboxes, two toolboxes in here. I haven't done a direct video on these, but this is Lista, and then you have Rousseau. And this is my little temporary office that I have set up here at the new OGHQ, which eventually won't have weird beach scenes and, you know, holes in the wall. But at some point, you know, I may have a lab where I can do this stuff. But right now, my computer's behind the camera. This is where I sit. This is where I plan. This is where I scheme. This is where I order. This is where I figure things out. So my skill set, my talent in this world is to digest that catalog, order things because I have the resources and the justification to do it. If I didn't have Obsessed Garage, how could you justify buying all this stuff when most of it is probably not going to make the cut? And so what we have in here is I have Koken, Wera. So we'll go through this drawer in a minute. But I have Koken, Wera, Hazet. We have Knipex, so Knipex brand, which I haven't completely gotten through. These have made the first cut. You know, I'm mad scientisting in here, so these have made the second cut, and so I'm just kind of working through. These got cut, things that I don't think that I'll want, and so I'm going through the Knipex, you know, stuff. Next, we have Stahlwille. It looks like Stahlwille. That's Koken Hazet. This is Stahlwille here in the wrench category. I have, which I have not organized yet, I've got gear wrench, basically one of everything that they make, and I still have to go through their catalog a little bit more. I have Wera, which you just saw. Here's the other Wera drawer. Some more Hazet stuff, and I've gone through and sold off almost all the Hazet products. I think that we've sold off most of it. But where I sell off these tools is on the Obsessed Garage Marketplace. So on Facebook, go to OG or just Google OG Marketplace, submit to become a member, and that's where I sell off the tools, usually 50-60% off of list, you know, MSRP price. So we can work through that. And then I have Stahlwille torque wrenches. So let's just go drawer by drawer here, but first let's talk about the toolboxes a little bit. Rousseau Lista. Lista is my long-term love affair with Lista. Lista was bought by Stanley Black & Decker, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, something like that. I'm not sure exactly when it was, but they've been fully assimilated. And one of my problems here is that, you know, Lista's just not quite the same. You've got some weird things like you don't order a lock, it's got some weird plastic thing. The toolboxes are actually fitting. This finish of this toolbox is amazing, but I have a Lista at my house, like a giant 30-something foot array of Lista cabinets at my house, and there's some powder coating issues, there's some runs, there's some weld slag, there's just some jank to it. Now, we just did a Rousseau cabinet install at the Rag Company, and Sonic MSS Plus was fit and finish, second to none, but Rousseau is just as good. The advantage of Sonic is that I think it's beautiful. It's the powder coating is amazing. They are much easier to install, much simpler to set up, but they don't have this zero deflection. And so if you were to look at a Rousseau, let's see if I can pull one of these out. Let me move anything in. So if I take a Rousseau drawer out, you take a look at the carrier here on a Rousseau. So this is the drawer carrier or the drawer, you know, glides. So this basket here, this connection point is what gives us that ability to have essentially zero deflection. And so this is a Rousseau specific, like they make these themselves, they own the patent on this. And so the structure on how these function, how they work, is like nothing else in the world. So if you look at a Lista, so if we take a Lista drawer out, I'll show you Oh, there's the keys to the storage unit that I was looking for. Dang it. We ended up drilling out the lock. So if we look at a Lista, you have to unlock here. So Lista sources these are Austrian glides, right? And so these glides are, there's no carrier, or there's no brace across the middle. So still great option, 440 pound capacity, 440 pound capacity. But because of the way that they set up the drawer, the way that they have that brace that runs across it, you get, you know, the best performance. There we go. And then you lock this in place. And so if I do this, see how there's just there's a little give, not the world's worst thing, but there's some give to this drawer. Whereas if I do the same thing with the Rousseau, first of all, the drawer structure is more sound. Like this drawer in general is more structurally put together. It's structurally put together better. But then if I do this same thing, just look at so it's the combination of the structural and how they do the sides of the drawers, on how it's put together. But there's just a little give, where this is just sturdier. The powder coating's better. The welds are better. The folds, or however they fold or bends, I should say, are better. It's superior in every way. The countertops are the best I've ever seen, and so, in my opinion, Rousseau makes the best cabinet in the world. The full package, and then of course, the struggle with Rousseau is just like Lista, is it's a catalog that's a mile wide and a mile deep. You can build and create anything you want. Tons of color options, tons of availability. The only reason I ordered this red because it was in stock, it was ready, I needed it in order to set up the toolbox. So if you're looking for a toolbox, this box here, if you did it in, say, this size, which was similar to the Snap-on I did, what was the Snap-on? It was like 16,000. I think I got some discounts and it ended up being like 13 and change. I think this box here, if you were to do it in the same size as that $16,000 Snap-on, was like $7,000 or something like that. So less than half the price, and I'm telling you, best toolbox in the world, no question. And that's having owned all this stuff, or put my hands on pretty much every toolbox, every cabinet that exists. There's a few obscure European brands that I haven't got my hands on, but all the major manufacturers, Haley's nice out of Canada. These are out of Canada as well. Shark makes a nice box. Who else have we done? Bald Head, Moduline. Obviously, the Harbor Freight Icon stuff, the Harbor Freight stuff. Icon is pretty sweet, but if you're going to copy a toolbox, why wouldn't you copy this? It's way better than the Snap-on. Obviously, I own the Snap-on, Craftsman, Milwaukee, Husky. I've touched all of them, and there's some obscure ones. Beta, I'm probably missing some of them. The Sonic boxes. The Sonic boxes are bang for the buck, especially if you're going to do their tool system. It's hard to beat. So anyway, let's talk about tools and where I'm at. So I've actually finished and finalized what's going to be the Wera line for what I call my Mormon Master Collection. And then from there, I have to do some packages, or create some packages for people. So what my intention with tools, what I intend to do with tools, I should say, is I can't stock all this stuff. I mean, what if we're missing like one of these? And a lot of these are coming from Germany, Japan, from all over the world, and so it becomes a little too complex to stock all this. And so what we're going to do is we're going to build simple, basic, what I think you need, the basic needs. And we're going to stock those in package form, and then probably a la carte on the package, the small package form. And then, so we're going to publish that, and we'll have packages, and you can just click and buy and try. And then if you decide, I want to build out Matt Mormon's Master Collection, we'll have the Master Collection available on the site. It'll show you what it is. And then you'll work with our design team to work between basic and the ultimate Master Collection, and we can build you anything in between. And what we're working on is some software where we can lay out your drawers, We can lay out what tool grid is needed, so make sure you get your tool grid package, so you get all the tip holders and everything you'll need to be able to lay it out. And then you can design and structure and build your own array of tools with our design team. And I don't think we're going to charge anything for that. Where we make our money is if you buy the tools. And so you'll be able to, maybe we'll have you put down like a $2,500 deposit or something that applies towards the tools. But the plan is to be able to build your drawers with tool grid and set it up so that you can organize and decide which actual tools you want. So I've made some decisions, like, for example, they have the VDE type, which most people aren't going to buy, but they make it. I kind of wanted to have it, but I didn't want to have individual screwdrivers, and so there are some things where it made sense to do bits. So this is the tool grid bit holder system. I went to tool grid and had them convince them to make me all gray. So we have an all gray version for our sockets. They already did gray here, but they make these in orange standard, so I wanted these to be gray, the bit holders. I also wanted the socket holders to all be in gray as well. And so these are all gray. I haven't put the labels on it yet, but you can put labeling on here so you know what each size is, because that is one of the problems. The other with knowing what size is what, you have to kind of lift it up and look at it. And so we'll put nomenclature on here. I already have all the labels right here, and just have to go through the exercise of doing it. I really didn't want to label it yet because these boxes aren't going to stay. This is going to go in my Rousseau array. Or possibly my ProSlat cabinet array that's going in the Middleton house that I'm moving into. So the tool grid concept, the advantage of it is that, let's say, so this was Hazet stuff. I have a few Hazet things left that I need to sell off. But the tool grid idea here is, what happens if I get something new and I do foam? The disadvantage to foam is that when you get something new, you need to cut new foam or have a new foam cut. And then many of you aren't going to just buy the whole setup. You're going to use some of the tools you already have and kind of build around it. And so I think the tool grid system, now that it's all gray, these used to be blue and red, and I just didn't like how it looked. And so I had them make OG spec gray version, a gunmetal gray, so that it made it nice and clean. I think that tool grid is the way to go. It's a little more work up front. We will probably head down the foam path at some day when I get my final sets designed and done. But for now, and I might actually have Sonic do that foam for us for tools that aren't theirs. They said they'd still be happy to do it. But I think that for now, tool grid is the way to go. So in the wrench department, we're doing Stahlwille. They have two different types of wrenches. They have what's called, what do they call it? The premium alloy, I believe. Or no, high, what do they call it? I think it's down here. HPQ is what they call it. This is their high quality, higher precision version. It makes no sense to buy the high quality version unless it's a specific type of wrench that you want. I had them both side by side. The high quality has a tighter tolerance for things, probably facilities like, I don't know, NASA and other precision facilities. For us in our garage, me, I like to waste money, but you're talking about a delta of 3 to 4 times the price for the same wrench, because they make an HPQ version of, say, like a traditional, open, box, open type box wrench, open end and box end wrench. So they make this an HPQ version, but it costs about 3 times more. And so I don't think that's really necessary. I'm kind of toying with the idea of some of these. They're quick sell, what they call a fast ratchet, which is kind of an interesting tool. So these may make the long-term cut. But I've gone through this whole setup here and just made decisions on what I would want in my toolbox. And then again, I think there's some potential value there for others in the future. A little bit of leftover Hazet stuff that we're selling off, but see, it was red and blue. So I do have a few little kits of Hazet that I put together that I have set up. You can always hit me up, and I'll send you to the link to where we have the tools. set up on Facebook. So we've got some more Stahlwille here. And I think that's the last of what I have in this toolbox here. Oh, I do need to sell these off too, which you'll probably, some of you guys might be interested in these. I do have a bunch of these that didn't make the cut. The ones that made the cut are in the top drawer. So these things are pretty expensive, but not as expensive if I sell it to you on the cheap. So I do need to sell that. And then I've got a bunch of these Wera stuff as well that I need to post up on Facebook. So you can always hit us up and tell me what you want, and I'll get you the price for it. So then the concept, or long-term concept here, is to have drawers that look like this. So we have our 1/4 inch setup into 3/8. And then I'm going to be, most of the cabinets we're designing are going to have drawers this size, so you can fit your tools like so. But look how cool some of this stuff is, like these flexible heads from Koken. This is Koken Z line. Stuff like this is this has a 3/8 anvil on a 1/4 inch head. Just little interesting things that they come up with. These are not the finest tooth ratchets on the market. They're not the most sophisticated looking ratchets on the market, but of all the ones that I bought, I mean, these I think are hands down my favorite. Just the fit, finish, performance, how they function. But for example, one of the things I decided is that they make a push button style or just a regular, clip-on anvil only style. I think the push button style is better. I like it much better. I like the handle. I like how it's rubberized, but it's not going to have a problem with dirt. That is one rub on the Wera stuff, is that you really have to work on keeping them clean. If you're doing some real nasty stuff, I don't know that Wera would be my choice on the screwdriver front. But they make, like the Zyklop here, they make a really cool, articulating head. So I decided to sort of include this in my, my setup or in my drawer. And so I kind of went through and targeted, what Z series, what nut grip. The Hazet stuff I think is far superior with their tie coating on the, the specialized type of Torx and Allen style or hex style drive type sockets, triple square stuff. The Hazet fit really nicely on the Koken ratchets, but I think that their style is superior. And so what I'm looking to do again is looking to curate, aggregate tools from multiple manufacturers, make it fit in a drawer, make it look nice. Your drawers are going to be slightly different size, and so the beauty of this tool grid is it comes in 6-inch squares. You just cut it with a circular saw or a jigsaw or a floor tile cutter. You just cut it to fit, and I like to make it nice and tight in the drawer. And then what we'll do is we'll know through design, okay, you have X amount of sockets, so we'll make sure you get you the right 3/8 size. We'll get you the right tool tip holders. We'll get you the right things that you need in order to get and set up all of your tools. Other things of note in this drawer, I love the Z series depth. So if you look at like a normal Koken, so look at the slightly shallower depth on the Z series, but sometimes this is going to be too shallow. And so I think in an ultimate type system or ultimate tool setup, I want both the Z series and I want the regular series. And then I also, in an ultimate setup, I want the nut grip series where it has a little ball bearing in there that will hold the nut as it's, as you're kind of trying to pull it out from an area that you may not be able to get your finger on or grab the nut. So just stuff like this, finding, best in class, what excites me, what I think is most interesting. By the way, if you're watching this video, we have 11 days left on the garage giveaway, and you want me to set up your toolbox like this. We do have quite a few. We have a starter pack from Koken. We have a starter pack from Wera. We have this really cool thing available too in the garage giveaway, this little pelican looking case. So these are Koken's impact set for removing, your lugs and wheel bolts. So this we have in the store. It will gain you entries for me to come out and do your garage like this. And I'm not 100% ready for this, but don't know what's going on. There's something back there that's broken in this toolbox. Something to do with the locking mechanism. So this is my 1/2-inch drawer and the remaining 3/8 stuff. You can see I have my whatever you call it, lug nut kit there set up in mine. And then I have extras in my box here, because one of the things that's frustrating on a lot of these, like the Schwabens or the Sonics, they all kind of come from the same place. These are very different in that these, you can buy these for like, I don't know, $1 a piece. And I have a bunch of extras here, so when it eventually gets damaged, I can always replace my protector boot. And then they have some of these that I couldn't give up. So these are Z series. Now, if we're building you a tool set, I've got 4 different types of wheel bolt removal. I've got aluminum, I've got the fancy extension one, I've got the short version, the compact version from Z series, and clearly you don't need all 3 of those, and that's probably several $100s worth of sockets there. So you don't need all of that. But if you want it, like I do, I'm building out a ultimate set, and then we can work from there. There's one Stahlwille ratchet that made the cut. This the 1/2-inch version with an articulating head that's 80 tooth. This is the 517 QR, and so this is the one Stahlwille that made the cut for my setup. Koken really they only make one 1/2-inch. And actually, this was on back order. Just got it the other day. So this is the only one that Koken makes this size, and so that's when I pulled in Hazet, and then Wera has a couple of cool versions of it as well. So we kind of went best in class, finding things like the locking type of extensions from the Koken Z series, and so this is a homologation of what I found to be the best in class of some of the best tools. I'm sure there's some stuff out there that I'm not aware of that I haven't gotten my hands on, but I've gotten my hands on a lot of really cool stuff. And so to build drawers like this has been my ultimate dream. And then the nice thing about Tool Grid is that if I got some other tools, I could always take it apart and adjust it, whereas if I had foam, I'd have to throw it away and start over. This drawer here is my specialty drawer. This Koken actually makes, these are for putting in studs, so their stud kit. So this is something that you would hope to get in a perfect scenario, but this is like a $2,000 set of tools here that not everybody's going to need. And it's sort of one of those things that you hope to get, but not necessary. Maybe you don't need an extended set of 1/2-inch triple squares and hex drive type stuff. But I'm going to build this all out and make sure you get what you need to make it work. And then there's no rhyme or reason to how I've separated this. I've really just wanted to see how much tool grid was necessary for this setup. And so my intent is when my Rousseau cabinets arrive, which will be in a few weeks in my new studio, that I at least know roughly how this needs to lay out, and then I'll go and actually put it in very specific drawers. My Rousseau cabinet array has dozens of drawers that are this size all the way down to the bottom, and so I plan on building out my whole master collection of tools and 2 main cabinets. And so the next organization group is working through the Knipex stuff. As you can see, I'm having a hard time. I want all of these. I want all of this, and so I'm going to have to fight. This is a really hard thing to fight. What do you actually need? When you have 12 different types of diagonal cutters, which one do you keep? Do I keep all of them? Do I keep some of them? They have different versions of how it cuts, the type of cut that it creates. Does it flush cut? Does it center cut? Does it edge cut? And then figuring out which ones do I actually want in my drawer. How big and small do I choose? Do I choose one of each size? Do I choose, do I skip some in the middle? Where do you draw the line? Do you want the push button style adjustment, or do you prefer the quick style adjustment? Which one do you prefer? Or do you want both, depending on the type of job? These are actually really cool. So these are what do they call it? They call it a wrench. It's a wrench something. Wrench, not a wrench ratchet, it's a wrench plier. And so look at it, it looks like it's your normal wrench head, but in a plier version where you have a little bit of ability to open and grab. So man, I'm like, I can't give these up either because this is really cool. They have bolt cutters. They've got ear clamp cutters. You got small bolt cutters, and then you're like, well, shoot, now you have angled bolt cutters. What happens if you need that? It's like, where do you draw the line, though? I mean, each one of these is probably $50. You know, it's like, where do you draw the line? So somebody has to decide that, and I'm telling you, without pouring through the catalog, without working through the spreadsheets, without ordering it, getting it in person, without the willingness to make mistakes. If you are a mechanic, you just don't have the time, you don't have the resources, you don't have the obsession required to go through this. Yeah, you may have a body of experience, but generally you're the one getting marketed to at the end of the chain here, because to be able to do all this stuff, I mean, I don't know how many, we have well over $100,000 worth of tools in this place, and I have to be able to sell off most of it because I'm not going to end up with $100,000 worth of tools in my toolbox. I'm going to end up with $20,000 or $30,000 worth of tools. But to get to that $20,000 or $30,000, I had to spend several hundred and then have the ability to sell them off, so that way I'm not just wasting and losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. But I've had to, the buy and try is the most important part. And I can usually tell as soon as it gets in my hand, and then being able to sort of organize it and fit it all together. And then, like I showed you here earlier, I've been on an escapade chasing ratcheting wrenches. I think the gear wrench is the best. I didn't like the snap-ons. The Sonics are okay. I have the Koken here somewhere. Koken. I have the what's that other one? SK I bought. It's kind of interesting. But I love ratcheting wrenches. And I love things like, especially these, I love the snap-on length, the long reach type. These are all spline drive. Maybe you can put, comment down below. I don't have a lot of experience with spline. Spline operates as, I guess, it's kind of that hybrid that can operate as a damaged bolt remover as well as not mess up your bolts. So all of the higher end 120 tooth, all of their stuff, it sure doesn't feel like 120 tooth. Maybe it's just 120 series. The 120 XP, I haven't really dug deeply into the gear wrench stuff yet. The guys just came and said, from Gear Wrench, and I met the guys here locally, and they said, whatever you want, we'll bring it all to you. So they just started giving me stuff. So I haven't really gotten through. Their catalog is big. So that's, once I get through Knipex, I'm going to dig into the gear wrench stuff. But maybe you can help me out. The spline, is there any negatives to that? Because all their higher end version of tools have that spline drive type. So, but the gear wrench version, even though they're all Chinese made, they do have, I think, the most robust line and some of the best, at least the best experience I've had with ratcheting wrenches. The other thing that we're going to be doing here is Stahlwille torque wrenches, and so this is a real stinger. I bought one of each type of torque wrench. For example, they have the quick style. So what you do is, the way that this one works is you pull the tab, and then you can you push the tab, and you can quick adjust like this. So you push down with your thumb, and you can do a quick adjustment versus their normal type of turn adjustment. To me, this is more satisfying. But looking in the catalog, I can have a basic idea of how it works, but I just had to buy it. So this is a $1,000 trial here. And then I've been working on trying to figure out, okay, what torque wrenches will I want? And so I've been on the torque wrench thing here, trying to figure out, I want to fill the gap of, say, 1 Newton meter up to, somewhere around 1,000 Newton meters, so I can do Porsche stuff. 1,000 Newton meters are 750 foot-pounds. So I'm trying to figure out which version of torque wrenches I would need to put together in order to get that figured out. And then, in a perfect world, I would have all of these, these heads that install. Oh, that's the wrong size. This goes here. so that I can put different types of heads on it. But the wrench style heads are certainly not necessary to have, but it is nice to have if you're going to not always be ratcheting. Right? So then you have the ratcheting style head that can go on in place. And then these you would adjust your setting based on what you need in either foot-pounds or Newton meters. And so building out structure to figure out what a grouping of accessories, what I want, what I need, and what would my drawer look like in an essential setup, and what would my drawer look like in an ultimate setup. And that includes buying some big frickin' expensive torque wrenches, and I bought some digital ones too, you know, to see, is the digital one worth it? I mean, this sucker here is like, I don't know, $700 or something crazy like that. And so buying these to try to figure out if it's the right thing to do. And then, you know, again, keep an eye out. The ones that don't make the cut doesn't mean they're not good. It just means that they just didn't fit what I'm looking for, and so there'll be an opportunity for you to buy it at, you know, 50, 60% off. So, I know that's a lot. Shoot, I'm late for my meeting. Hit me up if I can help with this stuff. Thanks for all the support over the years and allowing me to do this. But more to come as I figure out tools and get you up to speed with what might make sense for your toolbox. Thanks for watching. As always, stay tuned for more crazy. I get it. I'm not exactly sane, but I'm kind of the guy you want doing this stuff. So thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.